cheers for making
to Julia and Jesse's wedding weekend. I'd also like to say a big thank you to the Art Club for having the French posters in honor of Julia's family, and also for how thoughtful they were with having the silhouettes on the wall to match the decor of the wedding design. Yeah. They've been planning that for months. To start the evening, we're going to say the traditional Jewish blessings for Friday night, and Julia's grandmother Gammy and Jesse's grandfather Grandpa Herb are going to come up and lead us in the blessings. You want to do it together?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'masher shel Shabbat. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagoseh.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min ha'or.
And next, I'd like to bring up Jordan, Julia's sister, for the next step.
Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce everyone.
Move this forward.
Is it working?
There's nothing in there.
Oh.
There's no microphone there.
I like to pretend. I'd like to introduce everyone to my French grandmother who's traveled a long distance to get here. Her name is Ticola. Please, everybody, welcome her. She has prepared a few words for us tonight, and she would love to share them with you.
Bonsoir. Comme ma délicieuse petite fille Jordan vous a dit, je suis Ticola, la grand-mère française et aujourd'hui officiellement la grand-mère française de Jessie. As my delicious granddaughter Jordan told you, I am Ticola, the French grandmother, and today, officially, Jessie's French grandmother. Julia, tu sais combien tu es précieuse pour moi, comme tu l'étais pour ton grand-père Sergio. Et pendant ce week-end spécial de bonheur, il nous manque terriblement. Julia, you know how precious you are to me, and you were also to your grandfather Sergio, and during this special celebration weekend, we really do missing him terribly. But c'est la vie. Avec Jessie, tu entres dans une très belle famille. Quand Bev et Corky sont venus en France il y a 2 ans, j'ai été complètement séduite, et plus tard aussi, avec ses frères, Ben, Adam, avec sa compagne Adi et leur grand-père Herbert. With Jessie, you enter in a beautiful family. When Bev and Corky went in France and visited me, I was completely seduced. Later on, with Jessie's brothers, Ben, Adam, with Adi, and Herbert, their grandfather, I was confirmed in my opinion. Jessie, quelquefois, je trouve notre relation très drôle, spécialement quand on s'écrit, toi en français et moi en anglais. Mais on va continuer. Jessie, sometimes I think our relation is amazing, especially when we write to each other, you in French and to me, and me in English to you. But we will continue. Je veux dire que je suis une maman heureuse, avec John et Valérie, malgré la distance, mais aussi avec mon fils Vincent en France. Et surtout, je suis une grand-mère très, très chanceuse, avec mes petits-enfants français Camille et Pierre-Baptiste qui est ici, et au-delà des océans, Jordan, Julia, et maintenant toi, Jessie. Bienvenue dans ta famille française. I want to say that I am a very happy mother with John and Valerie, with very close relationship despite the distance. The same in France with my son Vincent. But overall, I am a very, very lucky grandmother with my French grandchildren Camille and Pierre-Baptiste, and overseas Jordan, Julia, and now you, Jess. Welcome. Welcome in your French family. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and I love you.
C'était formidable. Merci beaucoup. C'était très spécial.
Alors, je vous ai donné ça, c'est la famille française. J'ai mis tous les noms et je l'ai mis en français, c'est pour vous. Et Odette, je vous laisse le discours, et Odette a un livre pour vous. Odette, donne-leur le. Julia, comment elle s'appelle Dominique. Voilà, c'est pour vous. Et Odette a un livre que...
Mon fils aîné a écrit un livre sur le Pays Basque. Alors il m'a chargé de vous l'offrir à tous les deux. Voilà.
C'est pour vous, faites attention, il y a un chèque dedans.
Oh, merci, c'était super.
C'était parfait.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would love to invite you all to dinner. This can be found to your left. S'il vous plaît, venez tous vous servir à manger. Ça peut se trouver à la gauche.
Ben, I'm going to say the word remarkable. Ben thinks it's a waste of a word. Hello, everybody. I'm Adam. I'm the middle brother of the Friedmans.
Middle brother!
Thanks, Guy. All right. So it's my pleasure to begin the second speech portion of the evening, where we'll be inviting very important people up to say very important words about our couple of the millennium, these two. So I'd like to begin by inviting up my mom to say a few words.
It is my honor to welcome all of you to Jesse and Julia's wedding weekend. Can you hear me?
Project, Mom.
I have a quiet voice. I'll try to speak. Welcome to Providence, everyone. Along with Julia, Jesse, Corky, Ben, Adam, Jordan, Valerie, and John, I welcome you to a weekend of celebration and coming together. We are thrilled to have all of you here. Julia and Jesse are a traveling pair, as you all know. And so are their family and friends. So let me tell you that tonight you've come from 14 states and 3 foreign countries. So let's hear a shout out for Arizona, California, Washington State, want you to know is that so much of what I have learned about a good marriage and a good family and good parenting is from my mom and dad. Okay, and now we got the 3 foreign countries. Okay, we've got England. Oh, Canada. And an incredible turnout. To just welcome the French family. I want you to say everyone by name. Okay. The first people I want to introduce to you, someone so very, very special to our family. As most of you know, Jesse studied abroad in Montpellier, France when he was a junior in college. And he lived with Sarah's family. And Sarah is here tonight representing the Renacias and Natalis with her new husband, Mike. And Sarah doesn't speak English, but we love her so much. Okay. Over on this side, Loic. Loic. Yay! Oriana. Marina. I also want to recognize that there are some family members here tonight who have recently celebrated anniversaries of significance. And I don't know all of them, but in the past week, I believe, we've had some rather large numbers celebrated. We have Jeff and Susie at 42 years. We have Corky's brother and our sister-in-law, Mitchell and Barbara, at 44 years. And leading the way, we have my brother-in-law Rob's, Uncle Rob's parents, Lisa's in-laws, Emily, Allison, and Jill's grandparents, Shirley and Howard, today, 60 years today. We're happy to throw a party for you, Shirley. There are some people who are not here with us tonight, and I miss them. I never knew Serge. I wish I had known him. He sounds like an amazing person, and I know he's very missed. I miss Grandma Franny, I miss Grandpa Eddie, and I miss Grandma Dot. I know they would have loved to have been here, and Grandma Franny and Grandma Dot would have been out there doing the horror tomorrow night. So everybody has to dance especially hard. Okay. So, as many of you do, I listen to NPR. One of my favorite shows is This I Believe. Here in Rhode Island, we have a local version of This I Believe. It's hosted by our good friend Rick Reamer, who will be at the wedding tomorrow. Like many of you, I always think about what my essay would focus on. I change my mind a lot. But now I know. I believe in weddings. I believe in the process of planning a wedding. And I believe in this wedding. I believe it's important to make a fuss and to plan deliberately. This year has been a fabulous year of making a fuss and deliberate planning. And in the process, Corky and I have had the wonderful opportunity to get to know Julia's family, Jordan, Valerie, and John. We have shared parties, we've shared dress shopping, menu planning, food tastings, and Valerie and I have shared so many texts. Constantly. We really have jobs. And we've shared the joy of watching Jesse and Julia come together and orchestrate this amazing week. I believe that weddings and wedding planning bring families together. How lucky Corky and I are that as of tomorrow we add Julia, Jordan, Valerie, and John and their families to our family. Corky and I have loved sharing the fuss of wedding planning with the Blogs. I believe in weddings because I believe in the discussions and the differences of opinions and the compromises. After all, the wedding is not the marriage, but if this wedding planning is a precursor to the future, Julia and Jesse have shown us what is important. And that is why I believe in this wedding. I believe in Jesse, I believe in Julia, and I believe in Jesse and Julia. Wedding planning is befitting of Jesse. He is an amazing organizer. As our family knows, he is the king of lists. And it all gets done perfectly. Jesse, you are a joy. I love being your mother.
And don't worry, Adam and Ben, I'll say the same thing to you.
I love that every day I wonder what surprise you will bring to us. I love that you are a dedicated and supportive friend to so many, literally around the world. You have a zest for living and pushing and constantly learning. You are our teacher in so many ways. You are the model brother, Jesse. As a mother, that is what I have always wanted. More than anything. You have given that to Dad and to me, and I thank you. The Friedman brothers are a force. And you've made family connections with brothers and with cousins, aunts and uncles and grandparents one of your core values. We are confident that with the addition of Julia, family is strengthened. We are confident that family is strengthened because, Julia, you believe in family. We love you, Julia, because you bring to our family a warmth and authenticity and a love of life that you have allowed us to embrace. And maybe best of all, you bring me shopping opportunities. Julia, it was simple to love you. We knew it was destined when we heard that you were a Jewish French girl from Philadelphia. I think Danny is perfect script. Your artistic sense and your incredible creativity amazes us. Your style is nothing short of what would be expected from a Jewish French girl from Philadelphia. Our hearts are full. Julia, as the first daughter-in-law, sister-in-law in our family, we are all in. And I believe in you, Julia and Jesse, and this wedding. You are quite the team, quite the partnership. Together you nurture family connections. You love to travel and explore, and I have no doubt you will continue to add to your large and fascinating friendship circle. You are goal-oriented and family-oriented, and you are incredibly tuned into each other. You support each other, your goals and your dreams. You exude pride in your accomplishments. Your joy is palpable. Some of my favorite moments during this year of planning occurred during our Skype calls. It wasn't unusual for Julia and Jesse to either start talking to each other in French so we couldn't understand, or mute the sound. Corky and I loved that. After all, it's about you two, it's not about us. And there's one more thing I believe in. As we have spent this past year fussing and planning, texting and smiling about this wedding, I have been reminded every day that I believe in Corky. Partner of 36 years. So now I have this I believe essay. I believe in weddings and the fuss of wedding planning and in your wedding, Julia and Jesse. I believe in coming together as family and friends to launch Julia and Jesse for a lifetime of love.
Good warm up. Okay, let's keep it moving. Good, Mom. That's great. It's really wonderful. Okay. All right. The next speaker will be La Père de Jessie. Dad. Okay.
You got it, Adam.
Le Père. Le Père.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, this is, thanks a lot, Bev. I mean, I believe in you, but wow. No, I don't think so. So I'd like to add my welcome to everyone who has gathered here in the smallest state in the country for an event which for us is a very, very large one. And welcome to the Providence Art Club, started in 1886, the second oldest art club in the United States. And I have one trivia factoid that I wanted to share with you. Rhode Island is one of two states in the country whose name begins with two consonants. What's the other one? And it is not British Columbia, and it is not Prince Edward Island. It is, there's only one other state. Florida it is. Florida it is. Wyoming. Technicality.
I buy it.
I wanted.
I buy it.
Okay. Talk amongst yourselves later. I also wanted to say one more thing by introduction. The flowers on the table tonight, we thank Bev, Adi, and Jesse for handpicking these flowers at a local farm. Those of you who are locals will know Fort Town Farm. It's a place where our kids used to pick blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, flowers throughout the year. And these were homegrown flowers. And thank you to the three of you for doing this all by hand just yesterday. I remember vividly the first time I heard about Julia, and I remember vividly the first time I met Julia. Bev and I drove to Philadelphia for a weekend in October in 2008. We sat in Jesse's living room in his third floor brownstone walk-up on Locust Street, and I had $200 in my hand, $100 in this hand and $100 in that hand. The first one I told him was either a belated birthday gift or an early Hanukkah present. It was an unconditional gift that he could use to buy music, go out to dinner, pay bills, or save, whatever. The second $100, however, was a restricted gift. In what way, he asked. I told him that if he accepted the second $100, it had to be used towards a membership in J-Date. And for those of you, I have the floor tonight, Jess. I'm sorry. J-Date is an online Jewish dating website. He quit. He looked back blankly and said something like, "I don't need it." Now, I was expecting a brush off, so I quickly countered with something like, "It's not that I think that you need it. It's just that I think it's a low-risk, high reward proposition. Just give it a try. He immediately said, no thanks. Not willing to take no for an answer, and being my mother's son, I blurted out something like, don't be so stubborn, or your attitude about this stuff is so frustrating. But before I could rev up for the longer conversation that I would hope to avoid, Jesse smiled at us and said, I'm saying no because I met someone. Now, feeling sort of deflated but relieved, I quickly asked for details. They met at her parents' cafe a couple of blocks from where we were sitting, and which she was helping out by waiting tables when Jesse and a friend, Danny, who was here, happened to go in to the cafe for breakfast. He also reported that she is a Phillies and an Eagles fan, and she was willing to become a hockey fan. He also reported that her father is a Philadelphian who was raised not far from where I grew up, and her mother's from France. She's a native French speaker, she has a younger sister, and she's an artist. So meanwhile, I'm waiting for the punchline, which I knew, knowing Jesse, would be coming last, if at all. And then he filled in some remaining information. Oh, he said, her name is Julia. And with a smile, he said, Julia Blum, B-L-U-M. And then he said, with a smile I'll never forget, she's Jewish and she's beautiful. With a smile, I quickly put the $100 back in my pocket. As I reviewed all of the information that I had just been given in the past 30 seconds. Philadelphia kid, check. French family and French speaker, check. Phillies and Eagles and potential Flyers fan, check, check. Jewish kid, check, check, check. Plus, and beautiful, I couldn't take any more in. And honestly, I don't remember a thing about the rest of that weekend in Philadelphia. And now we fast forward a month to American Thanksgiving. The day before we were scheduled to fly to Norfolk, Virginia, where we spend every Thanksgiving with Lisa and Rob and the girls, Jesse brought Julia to Pawtucket. They got to the house long after we had gone to sleep, so it was not until the next morning that we met Julia, the person who cost Jesse $100 and who put a bounce in our step. She came down to the kitchen where we were all hanging out, wearing, and you probably don't remember this, billowy pajama bottoms and this very, very cool Providence t-shirt. It was vintage Julia, and as Bev said, I was all in from that moment. I must say, I think you guys make a very, very complimentary couple. Jesse's tall. Julia's not tall. Jesse works at Amazon. Julia works at Amazon. Julia's incredible sense of design and Jesse's impressive organizational skills. Julia's wonderful style in clothes and overall appearance, and Jesse's t-shirts and Saucony running shoes. Julia's art and Jesse's books. They are impressive individuals and a very, very impressive couple. Julia, I know I'm his father, but I want to say out loud what I think and really what I know. That you've chosen well. It's a serious line. I know that Jesse will be a loving husband, dedicated to values and interests consistent with yours. A bit intense and academic at times, but always willing to listen and to learn, and with a heart in the right place. And Jesse, I also want to say out loud what I think and know what I know, that you have also chosen well. Everything I have seen over the past 4+ years convinces me that Julia will be a loving wife, dedicated to values and interests consistent with yours, willing to watch Flyers, Eagles, and Phillies games with a keen interest, and has her heart in the right place. And now it's time to get married and to make a public statement. I couldn't be prouder of both of you.
All right, we're 2 for 2. That was great. All right, we're going to kick it over to the other side of the family now, to the Blum side. I'd like to invite John up to say a few words.
Thank you for celebrating this proceeding to the main event tomorrow. Let me introduce yourself who don't know me. I am John, the better half of our couple here. And this weekend, I am the father of the bride. It is not easy for me, so I'm keeping my notes. And this is a pretty big deal. And I'm best in front of a 3-foot counter between me and someone else. I do prefer a quiet lifestyle behind the scenes. So don't get me wrong, I do like a good party. For the first child, will always be a big change completely in our life. All our parties have changed, from sleeping in right down to saving for a future. Put our savings towards tuition and more tuition. It increased as years went on. We couldn't sell our croissants fast enough. Teenage year, the drama of boyfriends, weekend parties, drinking, smoking. I would have to bite my tongue at times. Remember that I was once young too. So to share a few thoughts about Julia in a couple of words, she has determination, persistence, stubbornness, tenacity, and most of all, she's a hot, fiercey temper. Jesse, on her hand, as I've grown to know him, has the calmness, the reasoning, the patience, the passion for detail, and a very nonchalant and seems to make everything goes easy, or maybe he seems to brush things over. And, both of them together, I'm sure those who see shared their love and interest of each other. Jesse, who has a big history by now, on this date of their marriage tomorrow, in 1422, King Henry V of England dies of dysentery while in France. And his 9-month-old son, who is 6, becomes king. Thomas Edison patents his movie camera. The Phillies won tonight. All right. 6-5 against the Cubs. I'm a very lucky, which is an understatement. I'm a thankful man, and I have a beautiful family, wonderful friends, and now a very special son in a new family. Especially you, Val. Thank you for loving me, and let me love you. I think we succeeded in raising Julia, and I've grown up with this perfect woman. Julia and Jesse, you are blessed and two loving. Julia and Jesse, you are blessed with 2 loving and supportive families. We all wish you lots of happiness, close friends, prosperity, health, and lots of love and laughter. Mazel tov.
No pressure. The better half, the other half of the Blum couple. Andrew's la mère.
I brought my glasses, but I have no paper to read. Vous m'entendez là? Oh, yes. So I think a little French accent, will be refreshing. Right? Okay, I want to thank you, everyone, and sharing this special event tonight, especially my husband, my better half, and I want to thank my French family to be here, and everyone, Ticola, and I wish, my dad would be there, but c'est la vie. Okay, so I just, my speech is going to be a little bit different. Not too long, because I don't want to bore everyone. So, but I just want to say that I have a little story. When my mom met my dad, my mom, the French people, it's all about food and wine first. So when my mom met my dad, my mom was drinking wine, and my dad was drinking water. My dad put wine in his water, but my mom didn't put water in And so far, it lasts 50 years. It would have lasted longer if my dad didn't leave that early. And now, John and I, we met in Israel, but has nothing to do with that. So it's like friends meeting America. So what is a symbol in food, So America, let's say hamburger. Okay? And the French, let's say foie gras. Everyone knows foie gras, right? Okay. So how does that work? Hamburger, foie gras. Well, we decided to top the hamburger with the foie gras, and he made the deluxe hamburger. And so far, it's going 30 years. Right. Now, Julia and Jessie, here we go again. A French and an American. So, foie gras meet hamburger. But it's not a hamburger. It is a veggie burger. So, how it's gonna work? Anyone? Any suggestion? Do you want an answer? Well, it doesn't come in a bottle, but there is a secret ingredient that they add with their food. Because, you cannot top the veggie burger with a foie gras. No way. As a limit, maybe the foie gras will allow the veggie burger to top the foie gras, but it doesn't sound good. So the secret ingredient, it's just from here. It's love. They just put love. He put love on his veggie burger. A lot. And she put really a lot. a lot of love on her foie gras. And here we are today. So, I mean, I don't have too much to add because everyone was saying all these beautiful things about them, and I don't want to repeat because it's true. They are beautiful. But I have another little anecdote, and of course it's about food again. When Jessie was invited in my house for the first time, I had people over. I knew he was vegetarian, so I made a special dish for him. But my dinner was wild boar shank, which is not vegetarian and really, really not kosher. And I came with my big dish full of these 10 boar shanks with a bone sticking up. You should have seen his face. I really, and he looked at me and he said, I know you were carnivorous, but not that much. And after that, he still stick around. So I know you were the one. So I just want to say, félicitations. I'm very, very proud and happy to have you. And I just want to make a little note that I think, sometimes the American language, is lacking a little beauty. Because you call the family the in-laws. Well, in French, we call it belle famille, beautiful family. And beau-frère, belle-sœur, beau-frère, belle-mère, beau-père, beau-fils, belle-fille. And I have to say that tonight, it is really true. It's a beautiful family. Thank you.
Des Belmo.
Yeah. Yeah, belle-mère. Not Belmo. Beautiful words. Beautiful words.
Belmo. Well, I know, I'm making up, I'm playing with it.
Excuse me, your French is lacking there.
Anyway. Okay, we're going to depart from the family for a quick moment, and I'd like to introduce Jessie and Julia's dear friend Danny to say a few words.
It is great to be giving a speech at your wedding. Jesse gets back from Oxford. I believe this was back in 2007. He says to me, I got a great idea. We're going to make the next Citizen Kane. We're going to write a screenplay together, and I know exactly what it's going to be about. We're going to base it on a very brief period of time in English history, directly after the death of Henry VIII, but we're going to set it in modern-day Brooklyn, New York. And it's going to be, instead of Catholics versus the Protestants, it'll be like the hipsters versus some other hipsters, like indie rockers versus like the more hardcore White Stripes types people. I say this sounds like a great idea, but I can't do it because I'm not a writer, and we don't even live in the same city. He lived in Philadelphia, I lived in New York. This is never going to work out. It's hard to write a screenplay. But Jesse was insistent, and he said, no, we have to do it, actually, and we will do it. And he convinced me. So, starting in the summer of 2007, about one weekend every single month we'd get together. Either I would go to Philadelphia, or he would come up to New York, or I would go to his parents' house in Rhode Island, or he would come to my parents' house in Connecticut. One time we even went to Howard's house in Lakeland, Florida, which was lovely. And little by little, the greatest screenplay ever written was formed.
Correct.
Let's fast forward now. Fast forward.
Still for sale.
Yes, exactly. Fast forward to the fall of 2008. I'm in Philadelphia. We're writing the script. Saturday goes by. It's an intense day of writing. We go out Saturday night, party. Sunday morning we wake up. It's 11 a.m. We got to get brunch. That's what's going to happen because we're two 26, 27-year-olds in Philadelphia. We got to do it. Jesse says, no worries. There's a really trendy brunch spot down the street. I believe it's called Ants in the Pants. So we went down the street to Ants in the Pants to get brunch, and you can imagine our dismay when we got to Ants in the Pants and we realized it was filled to the brim with hipsters. Every single table taken up, flowing out the door, like a river of hipsters, flowing out the door and down the street with the glasses and the hats and everything. There was no way we could get a table. We went to the hostess. She said it's going to be 45 minutes before you can get the best Eggs Benedict in town. So it's a disaster, right? But Jesse says, no, no, no. It's actually not a disaster at all because there is a cute little French cafe just around the corner. We're going to go there instead. Forget this. Now, was it fate that morning that Ants in the Pants was filled with the hipsters? I believe so, because we get into the French cafe, adorable. We sit down and we were confronted with the most beautiful, charming, intelligent, wonderful waitress that either of us had ever met. I'm just going to kill the tension right now. I'm going to tell you that that waitress was Julia. And the cafe in question is her parents' cafe. That's what we're talking about. Now, Julia she's an artist. She's got an artistic mind. So when I order a bagel and cream cheese and a banana, I'll give her this. It's possible I said a bagel and cream cheese with a banana. At the time, no, I didn't think it was a big deal. You know, any other waitress would have just been like, all right, it's clear what he wants. He wants a bagel and cream cheese with a banana on the side. But Julia saw something deeper in this. She saw an opportunity for something really beautiful that morning. So she actually sliced up the banana and put the pieces of banana into the cream cheese of the bagel and brought that out. And I just also want to point this out because I'm really overwhelmed with this, that everyone on the way out should really check out this painting here, which actually captures the moment of the bagel with the banana in the cream cheese in this painting, which is incredible, and I want a copy of it if possible. I would remember that breakfast forever, even if they weren't getting married. The fact they are getting married really makes it a lot better. Jesse, you have been one of my best friends ever since we met, really. I respect your counsel and your advice on really everything. I call him whenever I need to know what book to read, what music to listen to, what to wear, what to do with myself on a daily basis. I never thought a hang with you could get any better, but with Julia around, it is a lot better. It actually brings the whole experience to an 11. You guys have been around. You've lived in France, villas in France. You've lived in boring Washington, D.C. But now you live in one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to, in a beautiful new house. And last week I actually had the pleasure of being in this house the day they closed on the house, and they invited me up to their roof to have some champagne up on the roof of the house, and I was overwhelmed. I was thinking to myself, I am so lucky that I happen to always be around them when important life events happen. I was there when they met. I was there when they closed on their first house. I'm going to be there when you get married. And is it possible that I might actually be there when you guys become multi-millionaires? I believe so. I have a Powerball ticket for the drawing tomorrow night, and I think if our luck continues.
That's good too. These have all been good. Dynamite. Okay. It's game time. We're getting to the big guns. Okay. I'd like to invite Julia to come on up. Say a couple words.
Oh man. Tough speeches to follow. Thank you for enduring all of these. I mean, I know they've been awesome, but it's a lot. It's really amazing that all of you could be here tonight to kick off this weekend. Some of you have traveled from very far. Some of you skipped work today. Some of you got stuck in 8 hours of traffic on the way up. But your being here really means the world to me and to us. Je veux aussi dire un petit merci à la famille française. Je sais que le voyage est long, mais le week-end ne serait pas le même sans vous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Je suis tellement heureuse de pouvoir partager ces moments avec vous.
We too. Me too.
I also want to say merci to our families. Everyone played a huge role in making this weekend possible, not only with the wedding planning, but by supporting our relationship over the last nearly 5 years. Jesse and I met in Philadelphia in 2008, and in nearly 5 years that we've been together, we've not lived in the same city for more than 2 years. We've covered a lot of ground. We've been around the world. We've lived on 2 continents, and we've taken our relationship to many extremes. So 3 months after Jesse and I met, I left for a 5-month backpacking trip in Southeast Asia. It seemed like sort of a bummer to leave right as Jesse and I were in the honeymoon phase, but we kept the momentum going. And despite the long distance, still worked out. Going through some of Jesse's old letters, which now I'm realizing I forgot a piece of my speech at the table. All right. I went through some of Jesse's old letters. I have a box called the Jesse box, labeled Jesse. And I found the last card he gave me before I left for this trip. And it says, Julia, open on Tuesday when flying from LAX and keep with you until France. So we're going to be reunited in France. 3 words. You are everything. During the 5 months that I was away, I grew to know a different Jesse, the Jesse by email. But he was still the same encouraging person, eager to hear about my adventures and my stories, and he wrote every day that I was gone. Shortly after I returned from my trip, Jesse and I moved to France together to become caretakers for a British couple in rural France, very rural France. Many of you have heard the stories and followed our blog, and for those of you who haven't, check out yearincountry.blogspot.com. There's some really good footage of Jesse trimming the lawn in a muscle t-shirt, showing his guns. But just before our move to France, we actually vacationed in France at Tiquola's house. And this was Jesse's first time meeting my French family, and also Jesse's first time spending a vacation with Jordan and my parents. And it was the first opportunity he had to see where I was from. And I just want to thank my mom, my dad, and Jordan for welcoming Jesse to France that trip, and more importantly, for welcoming him into our family. Your support of our relationship is the biggest compliment you could possibly give me. Our adventure in France didn't really quite pan out like we had hoped. We were a little bored of acting like retired couples, so we abruptly left. And we moved back to the States and into Bev and Corky's house on Lavin Street. Now, I don't want to speak for Jesse, but my 6 months in Providence were awesome. I volunteered for a studio where I got to make life-size puppets, and I got paid to make candied pecans twice a week, which most of you should have gotten in your gift bags. But the most memorable part of my stay was that I had the pleasure of spending time, an enormous amount of time, with my belle famille. And beautiful they are. They welcomed me into their home like their very own daughter. I'm not sure it's possible to have found better in-laws than Bev, Corky, Adam, and Ben. We left sweet little Providence for our next adventure in DC. And now, to be clear, Jesse and I don't like talking about DC. That's how much we hated it. But our time there brought out one of Jesse's most impressive qualities, his support services. At the time I was waitressing full-time, I was doing 2 internships for the Smithsonian, and I was searching for a real job. It was probably the most tiring and upsetting year of my life, and I know I would not have succeeded without Jesse, without Jesse's support. He helped me look for jobs and apply for jobs. He worried about me when I didn't have time to worry about myself. And he always thought the world of me when my sense of self-worth was at its lowest. Needless to say, Jesse was determined to get us out of DC, and by then, he was also determined to leave teaching. Which brings me to Jesse's second most impressive quality, his perseverance. When Jesse embarked on his own job search, he made me look like a slacker. He was aggressive, relentless, and disciplined. And thanks to his perseverance and to Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, we moved from Capitol Hill, DC to Capitol Hill, Seattle.
Thank you, Jeff.
So we're now shy of our 2-year anniversary in Seattle. And since we just closed on a house last week, I think I can safely say we'll be there for longer than 2 years. Jess, if the last 5 years are any indication of what our marriage is going to be like, I know it will be filled with adventure, surprises, passion, and love. I love you.
Did she bring us? Can you bring us? Yeah, bring us.
Okay. This will be the concluding portion of the evening. I'd like to invite Jesse up to say a few words.
Gift bag. Thank you, everyone.
Jess, want me to hold that, Jess?
All right, so I'm the last one, and I wanted to start tonight by giving thanks. First, to my parents, whose enthusiasm and love throughout this last year of planning have been tremendous. They, like the Blums, welcome all of you to Rhode Island for this very special weekend. Life gives you no choice when it comes to your parents, but if I had a choice from all the people in the world, I would choose them, my mom and dad. Thank you for everything. To my brothers, Adam and Ben, without whom I'm not sure where I would be except to say that I would not be here. To both of you, I express my unending admiration and respect. And to Adi and Aviva, I say thank you for being there for all the various celebrations throughout the year. You were there every step of the way. Thank you. To Grandpa Herb, whose life story is the story of the American dream, and whose commitment to family reminds me of the great fortune I've had to call you a grandfather. You carry with you the spirit of Grandma Dot, Grandma Franny, and Grandpa Eddie, and I thank you for that, Grandpa, because this weekend you represent 4 people. To my French host sister, à ma sœur française Sarah, je te souhaite la bienvenue à Providence. Franchement, je suis ravi de te voir et je vous dis avec Michael, bienvenue au Club Pax. Nous voulions vous donner un petit cadeau à cette occasion de votre Pax. So everyone, please congratulate my host sister Sarah from Montpellier and her now partner Mike on their recent engagement. Come on up. To Jordan Blum, who has introduced me to the very novel idea of having a sister, and whose energy and enthusiasm are infectious. And to Valerie and John, who welcomed me into their home in 2008 with a plate of wild boar shank, and who have encouraged our relationship from the start. Along with Tikola, you have introduced me to the Pays Basque, and you've helped me maintain my very special relationship with France. To all of these people, and to the family and friends assembled here tonight, I say thank you. I feel grateful and I feel humbled to have everyone together in one space at one time on this joyous weekend. But what I really want to talk about tonight was Julia. I remember taking a run in the winter of 2008 with Dr. Ethan Kay, just a few weeks after Julia and I met. And I remember expressing to Ethan a very simple sentiment, and that was, Julia seemed just too good to be true. As you have heard tonight, but let's just review it again. She was Jewish, she was French, she was from Philadelphia, she was beautiful and smart, and I was going to make her a Flyers fan too. Of course, I still feel this exact same way about Julia, but when I expressed that to Ethan almost 5 years ago, it was a very profound moment. I knew that I would marry Julia Blum after our very first date. It was Halloween, and she showed up at my door dressed as the Morton Salt girl. She was wearing a yellow skirt, white tights, and she had that purple Morton Salt umbrella. And I'd never met someone so adorable. And then came the next week, an entirely unexpected twist. I got really sick. Some of you know what happened to me in the shower that week. But there she was. Don't worry about it. Yeah, maybe so. But there she was. After 2 weeks together, I remember Julia cooking me dinner, bringing it to my apartment. I also remember her spilling a bunch of that dinner on her brown leather jacket as she climbed up the stairs on Locust Street, but I'm trying to forget that memory. As many of you might remember, very early in our relationship, as several people have said, Julia traveled the world, and we were apart for more than 4 months. Before she left, Julia secretly assembled 22 packages, each with a letter and a small gift. And each week, on Friday afternoon, I would come home from work and I would open those packages and I would think about her, and I would usually cry too. I have all of those letters and packages saved away in Providence, and frankly, when I think about them, my heart doesn't know what to do, because organizing those letters and having them arranged for me was one of the nicest things someone had ever done for me. But I also think then about how much I missed Julia while she was gone, and how eager I was to see her that spring. I have a few other memories, too, of Julia that I wanted to share. Like the time that I informed her in Seattle that a new dinosaur had been discovered, and she replied, "Wow, is it still alive?" Fair. Or the time that I noticed just how expressive Julia is when she writes an email or when she watches TV. Maybe some of you are aware of this, that she smiles or she frowns and she giggles and so forth. So a few years ago, just when we moved to Seattle, I became really concerned. Because one day, she was watching TV and her shoulders locked and her eyes were getting really narrow and she looked very upset. And I asked her what she was watching and she said, "A deodorant commercial." I could go on and on about Julia's playful ways and about how welcoming and creative she is, but instead I'll finish with just one image. It's a scene from Lake Michigan, and we had just gotten engaged, and Julia, Ben, Adam, and I were lying together in this tiny hammock. We were just rocking away and laughing. Julia had always been part of our family, but then it felt different. She was family then. And we have a great picture of that moment, and it's definitely one of my favorites. We'll say a bit more tomorrow night at the ceremony and celebration, so let me close by reading out loud the card that accompanied Julia's gift to me last Hanukkah, and the Canadian cousins will be particularly pleased. Here's what it read. To Jesse, this Hanukkah, Julia will take you for a game of curling, followed by a bread product and a hot chocolate at a local cafe. And let me tell you, that was a great day, not least because it turns out we're both pretty good curlers. This day also is pretty great. So I wanted to thank everyone for being here, and I wanted to say now it's time for dessert. Thank you.
It is literally time for dessert.